Hi, thank you for talking to us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I was wondering, so far since you've entered the industry, uh, do people ever mispronounce your name? Because I was like looking through like the articles and stuff, and I wasn't sure at first how to pronounce your last name.
Yep, yep. That's exactly right. Well, I I honestly correctly is Hebron. Um, Hebron is okay too for me, but it's technically Hebron. You just can't say he. You just cannot say he. Like it sounds so ugly to me. I tell people all the time, like Hebron or Hebron, just don't say Hebron and
Ugh.
they always say they always say Hebron. So I just
Oh,
end up looking at them anyway. But
really?
yeah, Hebron.
When I first read it, I thought it was like Hebron, like as if it rhymed with your first name, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that as well. Hebron or Hebron, either one works for that. Just don't say he.
I just wanted to check. So I was like,
Yes, ma'am.
so yeah. Anyway,
Thank you.
I thought maybe through this interview I could like learn more about you and about your career
Hmm.
and stuff like this. And so
Hmm.
during my research, I read that you were the eldest of 9 children. But yeah, we were wondering like, do you know how your parents met? Just out of curiosity.
Do I know how my parents met? I do know how my parents met. My father, he went to my parents met in high school, and I think they met at one of his football games when he played football in high school. I think my mother went with a couple of her friends, and my father probably balled out, did his thing, and she probably ended up meeting him. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Well, that's
And
like
then,
it's a charming story, and it's like I guess football has
yeah,
how it made its way into your career with like the game.
yeah. Oddly enough, football has definitely been something that's always like I kind of either been in the foreground or the background of my life. And now with the game, because I played football in college as well, it has definitely resurfaced. And because now I'm doing all my own stunts and stuff for the game, so it's like I'm glad I have that background, most
Yeah,
definitely.
something to fall back to just in case.
Yeah, yep, yep, yep.
What are your feelings about, like, your football experience and stuff like this and or your close connection to football?
um, I just, my father, he played in the league. So he was with the Broncos and the Eagles. So I think at first football was something that I was just put into because your father plays, so it's like you're obviously going to play, right? And
Yeah.
then you start adopting somebody else's expectation as this is what you want, even if it may not be. You just start brainwashing yourself, and it's like, yeah, this is exactly what I want. Of course, I'm going to play football. And so, I played all the way through college, and I believe in college, I kind of started seeing the politics of football and starting to see like it's not just about playing, but it's also about money. It's about business decisions, about political decisions. And so I think that's what kind of turned me away from the game a little bit.
Right.
And but I love the athleticism of it. I love the spotlight and the pressure of it. And I think that's kind of what got me so excited about acting because it was a similar feeling for me as
Oh,
far as yeah, as far as like you're part of a team, you're part of a whole program, you have everybody around you doing their own jobs, but when you got that rock in your hand, when you got the ball in your hand, it's up to you. You the
spotlight
player,
you.
exactly. You got the spotlight on you, so you gotta make something happen. So I think that same principle and concept applies to acting because, of course, you got your castmates, you got the directors, you got the producers, you got everybody around you to support you, but you still got to step up to the spotlight. You still got to shine. You still got to do your own part and do it well. So
Right.
I think it's a very athletic or competitive athlete mindset that I adopt to it when I'm out there.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense, actually. It's a really great metaphor I think you just made there.
Thank
Um,
you.
it sounds like you've also had a lot of different experiences too, because I was reading that you used to be, like, a pharmaceutical rep and stuff as well. And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
was there a moment during your life where there was, like, an inspiring moment that led you to decide, like, "Oh, I wanna move to LA and, like, pursue acting"? Like, was there a "This is it" moment? I need to
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Like I feel like a lot of people, they go to high school, they go to college, and then the first thing they want to do is get a job, get a good job, make their parents proud, make a lot of money, be successful, whatever you call it. And, sometimes we just end up doing that, or, being on that track. And then you wake up one day, it's like, wow, I accomplished that, but I'm not very happy. I'm not very fulfilled. So I think that's the moment I had after doing pharmaceutical sales for 3 years. I just woke up one day and I was just like, I'm not very happy with what I'm doing right now. I'm in my mid-20s, and it's like I'm just kind of living for only 2 days out the week. I wake up on Monday looking towards Friday already. So I think that's when
That's how you live, I think.
yeah, you just going through the motion, you're just in this cycle, and it's like I need to break it. So I just started looking at different passions in my life, different things that I was interested in. And I've always loved movies, I've always loved television. And so I was just like, let me just see what happens if I, take a class and just see what happens, see where it goes. And so I did. And then 6 months later, I left pharma, moved to Atlanta at first, got my first short film the day that I moved to Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, the day that I moved there, I booked my first short film as a lead. And 8 months later, I moved to LA when I was like, yeah, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to be an actor, or whatever that is. So yeah, it was a very decisive moment for me to have that mind shift and have that change of heart, change of lifestyle that I wanted for myself. And then after that, I just kind of went with it and rode that wave. And now we're here.
Yeah, because it sounds like a series of very quick decisions, because it's like months at a time. That's not very long at all, you know what I mean?
It's not. I guess I've always been kind of an impulsive person, or just like if I have a gut feeling, I just go with it. And so I think that's what really happened in this case. And luckily it just worked out.
That Tyler Perry like literally called you up one day and was like,
yeah,
you want to do this thing called the Oval. And
yeah.
Like when that call happened, like what was going through your mind when that happened?
Right. Well, I mean, I just some people call it luck. I call it favor. When you're walking in your alignment, and you of course it's a journey. It's a process. You gotta work your butt off. You gotta do everything on your end to make sure that when you do get that phone call, when you do get that opportunity, you're ready for it. So you can't just, it's not just gonna happen. You have to do your part. But when you are walking in your passion, you walking in the place that you're supposed to go, things just start happening because you're where you're supposed to be. And so, it was definitely some favor with me, because I booked a comedy spoof type thing in 2018. And then Tyler saw that because he was working with the lead on that of his play. And then that's when he called me to do the Oval. And it was a surreal moment because I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe that Tyler Perry, somebody that I grew up watching, and grew up being like a family icon, a neighborhood icon, like a community icon, I'm talking to him on the phone. I'm in my kitchen cooking chicken and making lunch. And Tyler Perry calls me up and said, hey, I'm looking at you for this show, man. How you doing? And we're having that whole conversation. And it's just a surreal thing, because when it happens, when people get their big break, or when they get an opportunity like this, it's like, wow, everything that I've been working for actually is happening. And I think there's always those few moments of like, oh my God, you just can't believe it. Yeah.
And as you mentioned before, he's such a big figure in in people's imaginations and stuff like that. Like I think he's really, from what I've read, he seems like a very singular, revolutionary creator person. Like no one does it like he does, Being around that, some of it must have rubbed off on you. If that makes sense.
Of course.
Some lessons that you felt you learned being near Tyler.
Of course. I would say the biggest lesson I learned from Tyler is that, if somebody isn't going to give you an opportunity, or if you feel like there's not a way that's already set to do something, make your own way. Create your own opportunity. Don't worry about getting approval from others. Don't worry about getting yeses from others. When all they keep on doing is give you no, you make your own yes. You find a way to make it happen for yourself.
Mm.
And so therefore you don't have to answer to other people. You don't have to get approval from other people because you already have your own. You already have something that's like, okay, this is what I want to do. I have the means to do it for myself. I don't need y'all help with it. I can do it myself. And then I can distribute it and I can do it the way that I want to do it
Mm.
without jumping through all these hoops and circles. So it's just like he's really just, I think the thing that I learned from Tyler is really just how to be a go-getter for yourself, just to make your own way out of no way.
What would you like to be known for if you could like do that for yourself? Because I feel like whenever I read about you, I read about like how like fit you are and like how you're into fashion
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that. And I was just wondering like what you would like to be known for.
Wow, that's a great question. That's a great question. What would I like to be known for? Like professionally or personally?
Both, either way.
Yeah. Professionally, I would like to be known as a storyteller. Like hands down, I would like to be known as a storyteller. When people ask me, what's my end goal, I tell them I want to be an A-list storyteller. And that's not just an A-list actor. That's, director, writer, producer. Like I want to touch multiple things in it because working in this industry, you see how fluid it is where you start off acting, you start off writing, and it's like, oh, I kind of started getting a passion for this too, or I start seeing things a certain way. So now I'm looking at a DP or I'm looking at directing. And you can do multiple hats within it. And that's all part of storytelling. That's all necessary parts of the same picture. So definitely professionally, I want to be known as a storyteller. Personally, I want to be known as besides the things that you've already seen, uh a guy that just gives back,
Mm.
gives back. Um Storytelling is a way of giving back, in my opinion. It's a way of sharing other people's stories and having people relate to those stories where they can learn something from it and take something from it as well. As far as like I'm very big on education, I'm very big on health.
Mm.
So having being able to give that back and give types of lessons of that as well is something that's very important to me because I think that it needs to be emphasized more, especially in these times. Just people taking care of themselves mentally, people taking care of themselves physically. But I'm still, to be completely honest with you, I'm still figuring that out. I'm
Mm.
figuring it out because once you once you especially in this industry, when you have a goal in mind where you want to be, you're kind of like one minded on that. You see you have one vision in your thing and you just want to go for it. And so other things start to become less of priority. And so
Right.
now that I've achieved certain things, I definitely want to start um, filling in those other parts of my life, filling in those other parts of who Vaughn is and what Vaughn's legacy is going to be besides just the actor.
Right. It's like I've gotten this far. What else do I want to be able to make sure I
Exactly. Exactly. So thank you for asking me that.
certainly was there any part of your previous experiences that particularly prepared you for Jamison Fields in the game?
It's just, just paying attention to the world of athletes, the world of athleticism, and understanding that people in a certain light are going to be accused of certain things just because of who they are. And people are going to try to tear you down just because of who you are. Um, and you have to do your best to avoid that but also keep your humanity doing it as well. And it'll make sense after the first episode, but yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for your somewhat cryptic response, I guess,
Yeah, I know. Right?
because people
It
people
was cryptic.
might watch your show to figure out exactly what you mean by that.
Yeah. Now I just put out like a whole mystery. Like, what is he talking about? Let me
Yeah.
figure it out. Yeah.
Is that we did see that you're also playing in this movie called King Richard about Serena and Venus Williams' father's story, their
Yes,
father's
ma'am.
like Will Smith. But I was also curious about what your character in that movie, how they fit into the whole story.
Yeah.
I remember
Well,
we looked it up, and like your character's name is like Monsta, and
monster.
like um my manager was wondering whether or not your like character had anything to do with a person named Monster Cody, who apparently was really famous in Compton back in the day.
No, I do not have. There's not a relation there. I do know who he's talking about though, but it's not a relation there. Um, my character, there are a group of antagonists in Compton who give Richard Williams a very hard time as he's trying to train the girls.
Mm.
And because the thing is, they're originally from, if I believe, they're originally from New Orleans,
Oh.
and so when they moved to Compton, they basically move into our territory, and they're on our stomping grounds, and we have some things to say about that. So, and if you look up the story, Venus and Serena's older sister was shot and killed
Yeah.
in Compton. So, there's we definitely, my character and a few other guys, we represent the hardships and the dangers of Compton that Richard, Venus, Serena had to overcome to get where they were and to basically make it out.
Wow. How did it feel to play that kind of role, I guess?
Um, it was it was different for me. It was different for me. It's not a role that I would typically do probably. It was just a very harder, very stone faced role for me. But it was still fun though. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And just the opportunity to work with Will, to see how he works, to see how his preparation going into scenes are, and to be on that stage with him, it was just, it was beyond a dream come true, honestly.
Because I'm sure it was, like, really cool to see how he was on like, when he's, like, on stage and then when he's, like,
Yeah,
off. That makes sense?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I got to see both.
that
I got
like
to see both.
what was that like being there to witness him kind of on and off at the same.
I mean, it was just like I felt like I was a student in the class. Obviously we were there working, and obviously my scenes with him, we had to, you had to be present, you had to act, you had to do your job, but it was still like a third eye watching him, taking him in, just like there was sometimes in the scene I'm just watching, I'm like, oh snap, I'm on the camera too, you know, because you just get so caught up in just watching what he's doing and just trying to learn from him and take away from him. So I think it could be like any actor's dream, just working with him and learning from him. It was a surreal experience for me, and I'm just so appreciative, and I cannot wait to see how it turns out. And I also wanted to put out there that I have another movie coming out called the Devil You Know, and
Yeah.
that is with Omar Epps and Michael Ealy.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if it will be at Sundance or in theaters, but yeah, that was another great experience working with those two legends.
Yeah.
It's going to be a dope movie. It's going to be a family movie. Well, it's going to be a family movie, meaning like families should watch it and have conversations about it. But it has some very mature concepts in it. But
Would you like
it's
to
it's
talk about it? Like, what it's about? Or, like
yeah. So basically, the W You Know is about it's a family who grew up very, very traditional, like very Christian, very home um, home training. Like the kids grew up all in well homes. Like both of the parents are there. We it's four brothers. We love each other very much. It's something that you don't really see many times these days. However, two of the brothers, they kind of go in dark directions in their life, and the choices that they make affects the rest of the family in a way that in the end it looks like, is the family going to split apart, is the family going to stay together, um, and it's like family prevails, but should it prevail,
mm,
should the fact that we're family um, make us not pay attention to the faults and to the
right, we
mistakes that we've
from
made.
each other.
Yeah. So the justice behind it comes to play a little bit as well. So it's gonna be a real conversation starter, and I think people are really gonna be able to relate to it because I play the youngest brother.
Mhm.
I play the youngest brother, and I'm also a preacher in that one.
Whoa.
So yeah, that was that
Again, very
was
different
funny.
direction.
I'm all over the place this year, I'll tell you. Um, so I get to play a preacher in that, and I'm kind of like the family moral compass of people, like keeping everybody together, keeping the family together. And then I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of nine kids, but in that one I'm the youngest. So having all these big brothers, that was kind of fun as well. And it's an incredible cast. And again, it's really going to tug at people's hearts. I really think it's going to be a conversation starter in one of those movies that every family has seen, everybody has talked about.
Well, I think for some reason when you described what was going on in the movie to me, like and let me know if this is like a strange question to ask, but like what made me think of it was like if is the responsibility for like your community to back up certain celebrities or certain stars when some scandal comes upon them, right?
Mm,
Whether or not it's like warranted or not. Because sometimes there are false accusations sometimes, of course, but sometimes
right,
it's real, right? And I think when you
right.
have certain celebrities that have been elevated, especially when you're in a community that's like more marginalized, you don't have
Yeah.
that many celebrities.
Celebrity to choose from. Yeah.
Yeah, so like what do you have any thoughts about like as a community, how should you react to that? Like, should you still support them regardless of what happens, or like how to approach stuff like this?
Mm.
Because that's what made me think. I don't know. My brain went in the weird direction.
Yeah. It definitely went differently, but that's a good question. I think you should support your own, but at the end of the day, you can support your own by not supporting them. Meaning, like, you might love somebody and you might want to see them succeed, but if you know they did wrong,
That's it.
you don't have to necessarily go against them. You don't have to necessarily call them out or make it a point to say like, hey, we you don't have to make it a point to make your opinion.
Mhm.
You can just step away from it and just like,
Good luck on your
well,
path.
good luck on that. Yo, like I support you, everything else, but you gotta deal with this on your own. You know what I mean? And I think, I just know like if my brother or a family member was a celebrity and they did something that I know was wrong,
Mm.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna shun them. I'm not gonna treat them a certain way. I'll probably talk to them, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna support them doing something wrong. I'm gonna support them, but I'm not gonna support them doing something wrong.
Down whatever path that was.
Exactly. It's like I'm gonna be here for you, bro, but you got to bear this,
Mm.
you know. And I'm still supporting him, but I'm not supporting that.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, Jess. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope you had a good time.
Yes, ma'am. I did. I did.